We are here on the Good Time Show with the one and only Marques Houston.
Welcome to the show, good brother.
Oh man, thank you all for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely,
It's so
it's a pleasure.
welcome.
It's a pleasure to have you. So I go back as a big fan, always starting out when you were immature, aka Batman, and you started off as a singer and actor. Now, do you look back to yourself and think to yourself like, "Wow, I'm a pioneer"? Because now you see a lot of guys coming in and they're singing and they're acting, but you was doing that back in the day. Do you look at yourself as a pioneer?
You know, I try to not, look at myself as anything but a great entertainer, and hopefully, when I look back at my career, I try to say, hopefully I could have, done great things with my music and my acting and entertaining the world and just been a part of something that's so much bigger than what I am. You know what I mean? There's so many great people that have done it before me. You had the Will Smith, came in the game. He was singing and rapping, or rapping and acting and stuff like that. So, there are so many people that I looked up to, coming up. And, hopefully I can be, one of those people in the industry that, new upcoming artists look up to. And, I just try to fit in where I can and just, do what I can as far as the entertainment business and just try to keep myself going. You know what I mean?
Right, absolutely.
Now, do you find it being very different being in a group and then being a solo artist? Which one do you enjoy the most?
They're as different as an apple and an orange. Being in a group, it's a lot. I would say it's a lot more fun because you share the work. You always together. We're like brothers. Me and the boys, Ron, Kevin, we're like brothers. So it's like being in a group with your brothers. We had our differences, we had our arguments and our fights, but at the end of the day, we were brothers. So we'd always be on the road together. We did everything together. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like that brotherhood that you get. Like it's kind of like going to high school.
Oh, right.
You got your clique in high school, you do everything together, and then, it's like if you kind of go off to college or you go off on your own, it's kind of like, it's bittersweet. You're excited to go off on your own and become a man and do your own thing, but then you also miss what you were a part of. So I think it was just very different transitioning from boys group to a solo artist. But, I can't say that I like either one better. I would just say it's just very different.
Okay. Now, are you signed to a label right now, or in negotiations, or are you strictly independent?
I'm independent. I have my own production company, my own label, and my own film company.
Wow.
Okay.
Now that's smart. Like I was just about to ask you that because it seemed like a guy been in the game as long as you would definitely move in being independent, kind of having your own, and I think that's better anyway.
Yeah, it's a lot better as far as business because owning something is always better than being owned. You know what I mean? A lot of people in this industry, they come into the game. If you're a freshman, you can't help it. You can't come in. I mean, unless you get the opportunity to come in independent. Not a lot of people get those opportunities, like the babies and Master P's and people that just started independently. But I think it's definitely better. It's always good to get your feet wet with some kind of label situation. Just to get your art out there, your craft out there. But eventually, as you grow to being an artist or doing whatever you want, act or whatever, it's always best to own your own products, own your own masters, and do stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, it benefits you in the long run.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, what's the name of your record label and production company?
The name of my record label is Music Works.
Okay.
And the production company is the same. And the film company is Brian and Barrett.
Okay. Now, your latest film... okay. So now your latest film, which is called Battlefield in America, which dropped in June 2000... of this year, June 21st. You play a young businessman who lands a community service sentence and falls into a group with misfit kids who need mentoring. With the help of a pro instructor, you work with the kids to get them ready for a dance competition. Now, how did you come about that role?
Well, when we first did the script, it was a couple years back when we were putting the script together and then going into production with the movie. At first I was like, maybe I wasn't going to be in the role. But, I felt like it was a good opportunity for me to, showcase my talents as an actor. And not to put myself in the same boat, we've seen movies that I've done in the past, like these out there, but somebody helped me. And when Chris and I came with Battlefield America, I thought it was a good role for me to play to kind of separate me from those roles that you seen me do. You know, so I wanted to play somebody a little bit older, somebody that, you know, in this movie I don't dance, I play a marketing director. You know, someone that has nothing to do with who I am as a person and what I do. I wanted to take on that role because I wanted to play somebody different. You know, so I thought it was a really, really big opportunity for me. And I came to Chris and I was like, you know, I think this would be a good opportunity for me. He's like, you know, let's do it. So that's how the movie came about, and you know, we put it out. It did really well, and it's coming to home entertainment, DVD, Blu-ray, September 18th. So I want everybody to make sure you mark your calendar, September 18th. Battlefield America will be in your stores. You can get it at Walmart, you know, everywhere you shop for your DVDs and your home entertainment. Okay. You know, definitely go pick it up.
And a lot of people, you know, like the younger generation, they don't realize, like, acting, you do natural because, I mean, you've been doing it for so long. You know what I mean? Like, sister.
House party.
Yeah, so, like, you know, you're very comfortable behind the camera. So I think a lot of people know that, like, you're natural when it comes to films. Like with the roles that you pick, do you pick the roles based upon what you feel? Or do you have a hand in writing them? Or do sometimes you get a script? Like, because I'm quite sure you get a lot of scripts. So do you, like, how do you pick what roles you want to play?
I think I'm very, very selective in the roles that I play. Because I'm not one of those actors that just want to work. You know, I don't feel like I ever have the need to just say, you know, I'm going to take the script because I need work. You know, I feel like, you know, I look at the people like Will Smith, like Jamie Foxx, Martin. These are all guys that I grew up watching, and you know, especially you know, you know, the Johnny Depps and the Tom Hanks, and I see these people and I see the roles that they've taken on, and they didn't just do anything. You know what I mean? And Denzel, you know, they played roles that were important to their career. So when they look back on their career, and you looking back at Denzel's catalog of movies, you see how he climbed up that ladder to be Denzel. So I never want to be one of those people that's just like, you know what, forget it, I'm just going to do this. You know, I like to choose roles that I either A, have fun in, you know, something that's different, something that like more recently I'm trying to do more roles that I have never done before. So I can challenge myself as an actor just to get better. You know what I mean? Because acting you're never great at acting. Acting, you always get better. So I just want to do roles that are going to, you know, make me feel like I've accomplished getting better. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And of course, I like to do my own movies, but you know, I'm not, you know, just saying I wouldn't do another movie. But it's like I like to be able to have that choice.
Right.
That's what's cool.
Gotcha.
Okay, so now your two singles, Make Believe and Lead You On. Is there any talks of maybe an album coming this year with those two singles coming out?
Well, I did a mixtape for Battlefield America soundtrack, which is I got in the studio and you know, just put the song together and stuff like that. So, you know, it definitely, because at first I was like, you know, I'm going to focus on the acting, and I'm producing films now, you know, that I'm not in, that I'm just, you know, behind the scenes on, and, you know, try to get into more writing scripts and producing films and stuff like that. So, you know, I took a backseat from singing for a minute, but, you know, I'd have to say, getting back in the studio, like my fans on Twitter, like everybody's hitting me up on my Instagram, like, when are you going to put out another album? We miss you, we miss your music. So, I mean, that definitely was a sign to me, and I appreciate, first I just want to say that I appreciate all my fans, because, you know, without my fans I wouldn't be doing anything. So, you know, all the love and support that I get from my fans that, you know, they'll text me or they'll hit me on the Twitter, Instagram, like, yeah, we miss your music. I appreciate that. That gives me that motivation to get back in the studio. So to answer your question, yes, I will be working on some music in the near future.
That's what's up.
That's
and definitely, you know, I think putting out singles is better in this day and age anyway, because I don't think these young kids even buy albums. They go on iTunes and buy songs at a time.
That's true. But, you know, if I do an album, I want it to be a classic album to where you don't feel like you just want singles.
Exactly.
Like, I have to get this
That's
entire
the way to
album.
go.
You know, throughout my career, I've really put a lot of time and effort into my albums because I love great music, and I don't like albums that you listen to and you just like the single and you listen to the album and it's like, you know what I mean? I really, really like albums like Thriller or, you know, Usher's Confessions album, these classic, albums that you can listen to from one to the end, and you don't want to skip around, or you don't want to just buy the single. So, I'm definitely, if I'm going to do an album, it's going to be a great piece of work, not just, songs that have been put together.
Okay, now, do you write songs? Like, have you written any songs for any other artists or for yourself?
Yeah, I've written, back in the day, I've written for Destiny's Child, I've written on B2K, other artists, Genuine, and other artists back in the day. More recently, I wrote a couple of things just with myself, just in the studio, kind of, playing around with it. I've had a couple of artists of my own that I've written for, and, I've always loved writing songs and writing music, so, it's just kind of part of what I do, and, I'm not specifically, out there just writing to everybody, but I'm like, if I do a song and somebody hears me, I like that song, I'm like, yeah, you can have it,
Okay. That's good. Sharing is always good.
I'm open to write on anybody or myself. It doesn't matter. I just love to write.
Okay. Now, what can the fans expect for the future? The end of 2012 and 2013. What can they look for? Okay, we know we got the 2 singles. You're looking to drop the film. That's, you said, September, right?
Yeah, September 18th. That's really what I'm focusing on right now. September 18th is the date. Battlefield America hit stores and hits home video, DVD, Blu-ray. I'm focusing on that. I have 2 more movies right now that I produced that I'm not in, that'll be out sometime next year. A television series that I'm working on, that I'm just a producer on, and also possibly another television show that I'll be in as well. And, another person I like to, kind of think of myself as a younger version of is a young Mark Wahlberg. I like the fact that he can do it all. He started out as Marky Mark. He was rapping and everything like that. He started musically. He got into the acting, and he produced, like Entourage, and he produces all these shows on HBO. He's a producer, and he's also an actor. So, I like to, take that route as far as being able to do it all,
Absolutely.
That's a great way of thinking.
And then maybe doing a movie when I'm in front of the camera, if I, what I'm saying, just like I said, being able to have that choice is what I ultimately want to do.
Now, I'm an older guy now, so I'm in my 30s. Now, you just let your age out because you knew about Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch.
Yeah, that's true. Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. I mean, I am aging myself a little bit. But hey, I just made 31 this past August 4th. So, I'm in my 30s as well, but it feels good. I mean, getting older, I'm starting to focus a little more on my family and just spending time with my family and my friends and trying not to work as hard because, I've been a workhorse since I was little. So, trying to, just really put it all into perspective and just kind of relax a little more now and, take some time to myself. Because, this industry, you end up giving, and you forget about yourself, Yeah. And I'm not a selfish person at all. I love to give my fans and the public what they want. But at the same time, you have to have that balance, and, you start getting older. I start, maybe I might want some kids one day, try to start a family of my own one day. So, just, you got to definitely take time out for yourself and just think about those kind of things.
Well, man, we appreciate the love, man, and you coming on the show.
Yes, we do. We thank you so much for coming on the show. You have to come back and chill with us one day.
Listen, I thank you guys so much for having me. And don't forget, September 18th, make sure you go get that Battlefield America DVD.
Absolutely. Keep it locked. We on the Good Time Show.